This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we are just 1 week away from the pre-releases for BT12 for the Digimon card game. And if I'm being honest, it's kind of snuck up on me a little bit. It's been a busy couple of weeks for me, but I'm really excited for this set, and we have a couple archetypes I want to go over. And we're going to start with today's video, which is ShineGrey, which has pretty much been an archetype in this game since the first year. It's been, we had like the original line, and just the idea of having like a yellow deck that interacts with tamers hasn't been, anything new. Last year we kind of have hybrids which interact really well with the kind of idea of like the Rise Gray, Shine Gray, and now we kind of have like another like part of the puzzle where it's just a new line for it, and we also are kind of seeing that we're continuing getting this kind of red-yellow line for this, and I'm just really excited for it, especially since like I feel like in North America Yellow Hybrid did get a little bit of like nerfed a little bit early with the like Jet Sylphimon 1, and we just didn't really have like the same kind of like red yellow hybrid like deck that we did that Japan did at the same time, since they did have that full power for it. So I'm really excited to jump back into this one, see what it's like, and it should be really exciting. So we're gonna go over the new line, all the new cards individually, and then we're gonna have an example deck list at the end. So we're gonna go starting over the new cards. So the new line, so it's gonna start with a yellow Koromon as our Digi Egg, and I will say, and spoilers for the deck list, you can pretty much have a red base or yellow base in this deck. It doesn't really matter. It can be either or. I think red's a little bit stronger as a base, but I think yellow's definitely viable as well. But we have this Koromon, which is important because it's named Koromon as well, which we'll go over in a little bit. But your turn once per turn, when one of your red and or yellow tamers becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -1k DP for the turn. So not too crazy, pretty easy to proc this effect, especially with kind of how the generic Shine package works. But there are some like, we'll go over some cards that are kind of weird for the archetype in general, but pretty basic Digi Egg there. And then we have our Agumon. So this one's actually pretty nice for what it is. So it's a 3-cost 2k Digivolve for 1 on red or yellow, but it's for 0 on top of specifically a Koromon. And on play, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Add 1 Digimon card with Greymon in its name and 1 with 1 Marcus Daemon from among them to your hand. Place the rest of your bottom deck in any order. So being like, this is a really good searcher to kind of help us get our cards off. And then also your turn once per turn, when one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -2k for the turn. So with the Koromon effect, it gives something -3k, which is kind of nice there. And just the fact that this is a red-yellow that also is, you can Digivolve for 0 on top of Koromon, which again is really, really easy. It's pretty impactful there. So I'd say pretty much a staple for an archetype like this in general. And then we also have the ShineGreymon. And so something also just to note is that like both kind of like the Greymon and the Shine Gray, like they have like Agumon as the base, which means you can go into pretty much like GeoGray, and this one specifically kind of calls out some names as well. So we don't have a lot of GeoGrays in this game right now specifically, but we will be getting some in the future as well. But this one's kind of like the same thing, and you'll see all of them kind of have like the Digivolve reduction for going up into the same line. But it's a 5-cost for 3/3, Digivolve for 2 from a level 3 with Agumon in its name and Dinosaur in traits. It says in name too, which is kind of important, but when Digivolving, if you don't have a Marcus Daemon in play, you may play 1 from your hand without paying its memory cost, which is really, really strong for especially just a level 4. Normally we've been seeing like the level 5s are the ones that play the tamers for free, but man, this is really strong for what it is. And then also same, when one of your red or yellow tamers becomes suspended, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -2, so if you go all the way up the line with the inheritable, that's -5k, so it's starting to add up there. But just again, like being able to Digivolve into this for 2 and then play a tamer that cost 4, which we do have a spoiler, there's a new Marcus for us, but we do also have like the old one, which is still pretty relevant in a deck like this. That's incredibly strong for what we have. So really like this. This is actually a pretty important card for this combo too. And then we have the Rise Greymon. So same reduction. So it is 4/4, but you can Digivolve for 3 on top of specifically a GeoGreymon. And then when Digivolving, if you have a red or yellow tamer in play, you get to gain 1 memory. So technically you can go into this for 2, which is actually important too, which we'll go over in a little bit. But all turns once per turn, when your tamer is deleted, place 1 Marcus Daemon from your trash at the top of your security stack face down, which just means that you get to heal, but also the top card of your deck, your security is a tamer, which means if they hit into your security, you get your tamer back, which is quite nice for kind of recycling. And also all turns once per turn, when your tamer is deleted, place 1 Marcus Daemon from your trash at the top of your security stack as well. So the all turns on both sides just means you can do that. And spoilers, there are some ways that our Marcus gets deleted on our own time, which is really, really good there. And then our last part of the chain is the ShineGreymon. Digivolve for 3 on top of a Rise Greymon. Contains Rise Grey, so it can be a Rise Grey X, but same 4/4. I'm surprised it's actually not like a 5/5 continuing the chain. But anyways, when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon and all your opponent's Digimon, security Digimon get minus 3k for the turn for each red and or yellow tamer you have in play. And in your turn, all your Marcus Daemons get plus 3k DP and a security attack +1, which is should be weird if you don't know the actual cards. So we're just going to jump into that. This guy is good, but it's not. It's a weird card. It's a weird card. But we're going into the weirder cards. So this is the Marcus Daemon. So this is a new tamer. It's a 4-cost multicolor, which pretty solid for what it is. And starting your main phase, if you have a Digimon with Agumon or Greymon in its name, by paying 1 memory, this tamer is also treated as a Digimon with 3k DP, and it cannot Digivolve for the turn. So the fact that it's also treated like that is important too. So it's still counted as far as I know, this could be wrong, but as far as I know, since this is also treated as a Digimon, which means that you can attack with it. That means that if you played it the last turn, that it can attack that turn, and it can't Digivolve, which is fine. Then also just the fact that you can use this, it's still a tamer, so if this attacks, it gets suspended, which means that all of these inheritables that we've been talking about, you get these inheritables for this attacking. And then also your turn, when this tamer becomes suspended, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a yellow card with Greymon in its name from your hand without paying its Digivolution cost either. So that is also pretty strong, which just means you get to cheat out a Divolution. And so for example, like the quick little combo is that you have like, let's say you have the Rise Greymon out, right? Use this, starting main phase, you pay 1, keep this as a 3k Digimon that can't Digivolve for the turn. You attack with it. When it becomes suspended, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a yellow card with Greymon in its name. So that means you can go into your ShineGreymon for free. And then your turn will give everything plus 3k and security attack +1 to your Marcus. So it will be a 6k security attack +1. Then also, one of your opponent's Digimon, all yours get minus 3k for each red and or yellow tamer you have in play, which does mean that you can do this one without paying its cost. So you go into that, you are able to do this as well, which means that you'll give, let's just say this is the only tamer you out for just knowledge for it. So this becomes a 9k essentially into security attack +1. Then you also go into this guy for free. You also probably get to delete something as well, and just all the inheritables. So like you really get this like tall stack, and then you get to attack with a tamer, which is really interesting. So that's kind of like how the deck works. It's a little bit different for what it is, but it's really interesting to see you turn a tamer, which is usually looked at as something for just value or just kind of on the defense side, if anything, be able to just kind of turn into something really offensive too, which we've seen with hybrids before, but this is just kind of a different way to tackle that, which is really, really neat. So we have that, and then lastly, we have a new option card. So this is Shining Blast. You may play 1 Marcus Daemon from your hand without paying its memory cost. Then 3 of your opponent's Digimon get minus 2k for the turn for each red and or yellow tamer you have in play. So let's say you have 4. You give 3 things minus 8k for 5, which is pretty solid. I think like 4 or 5 is probably the max you can get from like this deck. Like you have like a different constraint for a lot of that, but it's a really good card. I still think the Buster is probably better, which is why it's still at 1. But being able to get like a bunch of mid-range things out of the way, I think is very strong there. So that is all of the new cards from BT12 for this archetype, and let's go into my example deck list. And here is my example deck list. And real quick before we get started, I do want to stress that this is an example deck list as well. I haven't been able to test BT12 as much as I want to, but I do think this is a good spot for anyone who wants to start getting on into the archetype. In general, I think there's a lot of room for people to make personal choices, which is really cool for a list like this, specifically too if you want to run the red eggs versus the yellow eggs. I think the red ones are a little bit better for what we're doing, but I think both can be viable if you want to. And I think there's some flexibility in spots for cards as well, which may be why some of the ratios for some of these cards might be a little bit awkward. I did also just want to stress a couple new cards are just cards to consider for this, and I also just have a couple of cards in the side deck that we can talk about as well. But jumping on into this guy, so Agumon package, and also this is after Mulligan, so we're kind of using new ratios because the game is a little bit different than how Japan was in the same time period as well. But Agumon, we're running 12 of them, and I think that's pretty solid. I like the red package too because I do like the idea of Agumon X antibody in this build. Also, the fact that this helps you find more pieces and like is an extra cycle a lot of the time is quite nice. I do also want to mention that like you have to run like the dinosaur-based Agumons, at least for the reduction for the GeoGreymon, which essentially is any of the Agumons with like the armbands, and also Agumon X antibody is also dinosaur, which is quite nice. So I think these make sense, and this can obviously just Digivolve on top of any kind of Agumon, which is nice, and it's red, so it goes on top of our Koromons. We also do have like the Stardex 7 Agumon, which is, trust me, a dinosaur. The tag here is wrong on that one. And then also the BT4 one. I don't really know how I feel about this one, but I did want to mention like this, if this card is returned to our hand, after being trashed from Digiburst, which means that we do have a couple cards that do that. So just being able to get like a free Agumon back to our hand could be nice. I don't really know how much the plus 2k for this actually matters, so that's just a consideration point right there. Going into our GeoGreymons, again, this is probably the best one in our entire deck, so we're really strong. We do have also the Stardex 7 GeoGrey, which can be played off your security, so some free value off that is always really nice. And can just go up your chain for 2, and then you get the reduction for the Rise Greymon, which is good there. We do also have like one more GeoGreymon that exists besides the yellow one, if you guys want to do the yellow base. So this one's from like BT2, so like forever ago. And it's just cheap. You can also play it for 4 if you need to, but if you want a red one, this is nice. It also has a Digiburst for 2 to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4k DP or less, which honestly, this could, if you are just wanting to buckle up on the Digiburst versions of the Agumons, you can just even do this just to get a rookie back into your hand, which means you can Digivolve into, raising next turn. Like just being able to get that free cycle, free +1 from it is fine. And you can maybe pop like a Gazimon or something that's really obnoxious on the board. So I don't know how I feel about this yet, but that's just an option for you guys to consider there. And then 2 Gunimon makes sense since we're running so many tamers as well. Going into our level 5s, we do have 3 of the new Rise Greymon. I think it's very strong. It doesn't play a tamer though, and we do like the GeoGreymon, but we're not going to see that all the time. So I do like the idea of both the Rise Greymon here from BT4. This is also essentially red-yellow for all intents and purposes, so good there. And then you get the Digiburst for 2, which again is a good idea for having this Agumon, because then you get to get it back to your hand for free, and you get to play a tamer for free with the effects. Obviously, it's the timing's a little weird because it's not on Digivolution, so you want to like Digivolve this into raising and then go for it, which is great. And I really do like the Rise Grey X antibody. It might fall out of favor and it might not actually be that strong, but I like the idea of it. Just being able to use it to go into this guy for 1, being able to get like a mini clear, especially since like the Rise Grey doesn't also, or sorry, the Shine Grey that we go into doesn't really have like as much clear potential as like I say like the original one at times, but I do like the idea of this too, and then also gets plus 1k DP for everything, so strongish there. And then like if you attack with this Rise Grey, it gives something -2, so there's a lot of potential for giving get deletions on a lot of things with this guy. So I like the idea of this. If you don't like it, just kind of go more on these 2, I think, but I think this has a lot of potential for it as well. And then our big boy ShineGreymon 2, which we kind of talked about. And then option cards, we're doing 2 Shine Blast and 2 of the one of the Sunrise Buster because we can't run more than 1. This card's still really great for what it is. I don't think we need much more than these options. We're going to be kind of cloggy in what we are, just because we're going to have this, and we don't run like as many like option cards as like our tamer cards compared to like something like Crossheart or something. So like there will be times where we'll have these and we just won't have tamers, or all of our tamers will be in play. So it's kind of like a middle in between the 2. So I'm thinking like 3 or 4 is where you want for these. If you want one more of the Shining Blast, make sure to probably take out a red memory boost for it, and you might want to try to bump up into 8 copies of Marcus. We're running 7 right now, and maybe an 8th copy would be good. And I like, and we're running only 3 of this guy. I do like it, especially since you can get like an extra memory by attacking stuff, and this does obviously compound with having more than 1 copy. So if you're 3 of these, you're attacking with your big Rise Grey X, then you're able to get 3 memory back, which is actually a lot, especially in red. So that can be very strong for you. But you also do like the Cody, especially since it's just like a cheaper tamer we can play out, and it's also a yellow tamer inherently, which means that if we have our red base, we don't have anything else like you can play this and then you can have like a Shining Blast or Sunrise Buster being played next turn for it. So I like what it does. I might just do 4 and 4 at both the Marcuses, but I think this is something to consider in a lot of ways. And that's like the main deck that we have here. We're running the Draw 1 Koromon because we do kind of need some cycle, and we are kind of dependent on finding our Marcus Tamers and more than one of them. And we have a lot of ways to play them for free, but honestly not a lot of ways to find them in our deck inherently. The only way to really search it is off this Agumon, so you do want to kind of consider that there. Other cards to kind of consider too, we kind of talked about it, but yeah, you can definitely use the yellow base if you want. You definitely run this GeoGreymon just because of the name. Honestly, if Inherited is not very good. The Rise Gray, sure, you play a Tamer for free too. That's pretty good. I still like these 3 more than, yeah, I just like these 3 more in general, but that's something. It does give Security Attack +1, which can come up. We also do have this additional Shine Gray. So if you want more level 6s, we also obviously have like the old BT2 Shine Gray, but this is like really aggressive for what it is. When one of your red or yellow Tamers is suspended, this gains Security Attack +1, which is pretty easy for something like this deck too. And then kind of like this is probably just cheese, but I do kind of want to mention it. We also do in BT12 get this other Agumon package, which I think is mostly to go more against like the Black War Gray kind of archetype. But this has on play, reveal top 4 of your cards, add 1 Digimon with Greymon or Omnimon in its name, and 1 Tamer card with Tai in its name among them, and then place the remaining at the bottom of your deck in any order, which is pretty nice. So it doesn't care about the color of the Tai either. So there's a red Tai, there's a yellow Tai, and a red yellow Tai. And it just has them in their name. So all of these are pretty okay Tamers for what they are. And then just the fact that this is not a dinosaur. Unfortunately, it's a reptile. So you would have to do like the original, like the full 3 devolution to GeoGreymon off this. But additionally, all turns when this Digimon has Greymon Omni, it gets the +1k. So this is great because they're almost always going to have that as well. And we also do have the Greymon. So when Digivolving, if you don't have a Tamer with Tai in its name, you get to play 1 with Tai in its name from your hand without paying its cost. So again, like just another way if you want to like guarantee like your speed on potentially finding your Tamers and be like a little bit greedier with it, because we do have a mulligan format. I think this could be like another way for it as well. Obviously, it's a Greymon, which means you don't get the devolution to GeoGreymon for to rise from Geo, because it's not a GeoGreymon, but also the same inheritable, which you'll almost always get off, which is nice. And it is a Digivolution for 2 on top of anything with Agumon in its name. So the 3 on black doesn't matter for the devolution cost for this one. It's always just going to be 2 on top of any of these boys. So that's just an idea. I haven't really tinkered with it much, but I do kind of want to mention it at the end of this video. So anyways, that is going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about this deck, if it's bad, if it's good, if there's some changes you want from it, as well as other BT12 archetypes you want me to go over in the next couple weeks. But again, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.